Hey, Maeve, do you want to get us started?
Yeah. So welcome everyone. Happy Election Day. As Sharon has reminded us already this morning, we hope that everyone has voted, and you have not, make sure that you remember that hourly hourly employees are available to have paid time off to go vote. And in honor of Election Day, we wanted to bring back TTCF Speak Your Peace campaign that was started in 2008 and was meant to inspire civic discourse and civil discourse in that space. And so TTCF came up with 9 agreements that was adopted by over 40 individuals and 1,000 or 40 organizations and 1,000 individuals. And these 9 principles are really meant to guide us as we enter into conversations that can be derisive. So the 9 are: pay attention, be present and engage with the topics being discussed, listen, genuinely focus on others as they speak so you may better understand their perspectives, be inclusive, welcome all points of view, every individual, and all groups of citizens working for the greater good. Don't gossip and don't accept when others do. Speak with consideration and kindness. Show respect, honor people and their opinions, especially in the midst of disagreement. Seek common ground, create stranger collaboration relationships, and find a path forward. Give constructive criticism, intend to help, not humiliate or attack. Take radical responsibility. Have the courage to admit when you don't know something. Don't shift responsibility and blame others. And the last one is be open-minded. Consider that all different viewpoints can build a stronger situation. So to start off today, I'd love for folks to put in the chat which of these promises resonate with you today as we walk into Election Day. Is there a promise that you would add? And so I'd invite folks to add that response along with your name and agency to the chat, knowing that we are at a moment that will encourage a lot of civic discourse today and going into the next 4 years. Folks are also welcome to come off mute if that feels more comfortable as well.
So for our agenda today, thank you so much for that great welcome and icebreaker, Maeve. In addition to Maeve, we're going to have another warming icebreaker, kind of a celebration for the Promotora team led by Feli, Abby, Ceci, Patty, Maribel, and Rocio. And then after that, David Cooper, who is the DOJ accredited immigration specialist from Sierra Community House, is going to talk to us about what they're seeing on the ground and what could be potentially, sorry, let me start that over. What they're seeing on the ground, and then they're going to make sure that we are aware of the resources and referrals that we can make to Sierra Community House, as well as just shed a little bit of a light around, depending on who is elected for office, what that could potentially mean for immigration in our area. And then after that, we're going to talk a lot about belonging and connection. Again, it's coming up in a lot of spaces that we're working in, from climate change to seniors to teens. And so we're going to dive deeper into the disaggregated data. We're going to talk about what that is and what it looks like for different demographics. And then we'll have time at the very end for resource sharing. Next slide, please. So I am Christina Kind. I'm program director with the Tahoe Truckee Community Foundation. You are here because you are part of the community collaborative of Tahoe Truckee. We are more than 45 family strengthening health and education, nonprofit and social service agencies working to improve the health and well-being of children and families in our community. And we really do that through a strength-based data and storytelling approach. And we do it through our convening and facilitation, and we do play a role in advocacy. And so that is just a little bit about us. The next slide will show you who our partners are. So hopefully you see us on that list. See yourself on that list, sorry. And our coalitions. And so today we have a few people joining us from our coalitions. I know I saw Missy on here from the Child Abuse Prevention Council. And I'm sure there's some others. And so the next slide, please. As a reminder, we adopted our meeting agreements from the Annie E. Casey Foundation, I think about, maybe 3 years ago. And we've been using them since. And so if I could have a volunteer read them out loud for us, that would be great in your preferred language. And then As always, we're always interested in if we're missing something and if we should add something. So as somebody's reading them out loud, if there's something that you think we should add, feel free to add it to the chat box. And do we have a volunteer to read them?
I'll jump in, Christina. It's Devin.
Great, thanks, Devin.
Bring your best self. Be an active listener. Be kind and generous. Stay engaged. Be open and suspend judgment. Speak your truth. Lean into discomfort. Enable empathy and compassion. Expect and accept that there may not be closure. Confidentiality. Step in, step back.
Thanks, Devin.
You bet.
And then I'm going to turn it back over to Maeve to lead us through the next piece.
Awesome. Thanks, Christina. So as Christina mentioned, we are thrilled to be joined by Sierra Community House's Promotoras today, who will be leading us through an icebreaker in honor of Promotora Awareness Month. For this presentation will be entirely in Spanish. If you would prefer to listen to this conversation in English, please join the Spanish interpretation channel. After this presentation, the main room will go back to being spoken in English, and the interpretation channel will be from English to Spanish. So please take this moment to move yourself to the correct room. And Abby,
can you remind us how to do that?
Yes, so it's these controls right here. So you're going to go to this interpretation circle that should be on the bottom of your screen, click Spanish, and then you can also mute the original audio if that's helpful for you as well. River, does that make sense? All right, without further ado, Abby, would you like to take it away?
Hola, buenos días a todos. Mi nombre es Abigail Aguiñiga, yo soy la coordinadora del equipo Promotoras. Y el día de hoy vamos a estar compartiendo un poco del trabajo que realizamos con tanto amor. A lo largo de estos años de trabajo, las promotoras hemos demostrado nuestro compromiso con el bienestar comunitario. Y sobre todo con el increíble trabajo que realizamos, generando un gran impacto con equidad, salud y bienestar para nuestra comunidad. El movimiento Promotoras está sembrando confianza, tranquilidad y solidaridad pero sobre todo empoderamiento hacia el futuro. Siendo los puentes efectivos entre los miembros más vulnerables para obtener servicios y recursos. Desde el año 2009, la Asamblea de California ha reconocido el mes de octubre como el mes del promotor. Un reconocimiento público para las promotoras, promotores y trabajadores comunitarios. Que dedicamos nuestro servicio de corazón hacia una comunidad digna y saludable. Este año, esta resolución ha sido presentada por la líder Eloís Gómez Reyes, que con mucha emoción describió nuestro trabajo. A continuación, May nos va a mostrar un video.
And are you guys able to hear this sound?
No, Maeve.
Thank you, Mr.
How about now?
Speaker. Members, I rise to present H.R. 124,
Now, yes.
which declares the month of October as California Promotoras Month. Promotoras, also known as community health workers, peer leaders, or health advocates, serve as cultural brokers who are a bridge between the community and the public health delivery system. They educate, empower, and advocate for community change in linguistically and culturally responsive ways. As a predominantly women-led workforce, they are the authentic voice of their community. Promotoras are trusted messengers and leaders in their communities. Puentes de la comunidad, and essential workers who know how to connect with under-resourced and traditionally underserved communities. Trusted by often marginalized community members who go to them for information, resources, and guidance, they share similar characteristics as the residents they serve and provide servicio de corazón, service from the heart. Promotoras deliver healthcare, education, and services, particularly in maternal and child health, chronic disease prevention and management, such as asthma, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and HIV/AIDS. This workforce is critical as it attends to the needs of the most underserved communities, closing health gaps and addressing systemic health inequities. Join me in honoring October as California Promotoras Month, and I would ask that the first roll be open for co-authors.
Gracias. A continuación, nuestras promotoras Ceci, Maribel, Patti y Rocío nos compartirán algunas palabras sobre la importancia del trabajo que realizan como promotoras.
So next, Ceci, Maribel, and Rocío are going to share some of the work that is important for us.
Sí, buenos días.
Good morning.
Estoy conectada en el celular y en la esta porque creo que no me está funcionando la computadora. Voy a tratar de quitarme aquí, ¿ok?
I'm connected to my phone because I don't think the computer is working.
Gracias. Bueno, buenos días. Mi nombre es Ceci Sánchez y yo soy promotora de Sierra Community House. Pues para mí el impacto, perdón. El impacto de las promotoras es que somos un puente entre nuestra agencia y las agencias de la comunidad. Y lo que hacemos es empoderar a la comunidad para que sepan los beneficios y los recursos que nos brindan dichas agencias. Siendo así, muy agradecidos con nuestros donantes para tener tales recursos.
Bueno, hola, mi nombre es Maribel. Me fascina ser promotora. En los eventos que se hacen para ayudar, para informar y ayudar a la comunidad, podemos estar en diferentes lugares y también tenemos la oportunidad de conocer diferentes culturas. Eh, El estar en diferentes lugares como distribución de comida y en trabajar en conjunto con la escuela, la biblioteca y clínica de salud, bueno, en muchos lugares más. Me permite ser uno a uno con la comunidad y me encanta darle la confianza a la gente de poder contarme sus inquietudes y necesidades. Y gracias a Sierra Community House y a las diferentes asociaciones que sirven a la comunidad, amo ser promotora.
Hola, mi nombre es Patty y me
Y
encantan.
Pati, estás en mute. ¿Puedes prender tu micrófono? Gracias.
Hola, mi nombre es Patty y me encanta el rol de promotora porque la promotora trabaja con el corazón y desde el corazón. Me encanta cuando doy la ayuda y la gente me dice, Dios te lo pague y me paga con una sonrisa. Me encanta ayudar porque el ser promotora es un puente hacia la comunidad. Amo ser promotora. Gracias por confiar en nosotros.
Hola, mi nombre es Rocío Gutiérrez y soy promotora de Sierra Community House. Ajá. Como promotoras somos líderes que vivimos en los mismos vecindarios y, y pertenecemos a las mismas comunidades que las personas que servimos. Nuestra experiencia de vida a menudo refleja las vidas de los miembros de nuestra comunidad. Muchos de nosotros elegimos convertirnos en promotores debido a nuestras experiencias, luchas, triunfos y conocimientos personales. Como resultado, los promotores podemos comprender y construir una buena relación, confianza y tener una profunda conciencia cultural que nos permite comunicarnos de manera significativa e impactante. Como promotor, a menudo somos el puente entre diversos sistemas. Trabajo en colaboración con estos sistemas para mejorar la salud y el bienestar de nuestra comunidad. Los promotores estamos creciendo y evolucionando y contribuimos al bienestar y la movilidad ascendente de nuestra comunidad. Gracias.
Wonderful. Gracias a Rocío y Maribel, promotoras de aquí de Kings Beach, y Ceci y Patty, promotoras de Truckee, junto a Abby, que es nuestra coordinadora de promotoras, por este si estamos en el mismo canal me puedo interpretar a mí misma, y lo que sí les queremos pedir es que nos pongan unas palabritas en el chat, una palabra o una frase mostrando gratitud a nuestras promotoras de este área. Gracias, Maeve, Cristina, el programa colaborativo, por invitarnos a celebrar el mes de las promotoras, y gracias a todos los socios de la comunidad que apoyan este modelo de promotoras como fuerza laboral. I can say it in English. Support. And that's it from Promotoras. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Feli,
I will
Abby,
record.
Maribel, Rocio, Patty, Ceci. Y'all do phenomenal work in our community, and we're so happy that the Promotoras' work is being honored by the state of California, and know that your work is deeply honored in our local community as well. Thank you so much for joining us today and giving us a piece of insight into the heart work that you do, and allowing us to give some hearts back to you. And with this, we will transfer to David Cooper, who is Sierra Community House's Department of Justice accredited immigration specialist. In honor of today being Election Day, we reached out to David after the last presidential debate, where we have seen throughout this campaign immigration becoming a central and politicized topic. We reached out to David in hopes to have him elaborate on what immigration services he provides as a DOJ accredited specialist, as also allowing for some time for some Q&A for us as service providers to really get to glean his expertise on serving the immigrant population in North Lake Tahoe intersects with our individual works as service providers. So we are thrilled to have David here with us today. David, I will stop sharing my screen and let you take it away.
Before you speak, I just want to make sure that everyone can hear. So if you were in the Spanish room, you'll want to join the main broadcast channel again, so that the Spanish room will be just the Spanish interpretation. And so you just do that, going at the bottom of your screen, the interpretation, and going to the original channel. If anyone needs help, just raise your hand. Thanks, David.
Yeah, and thanks for inviting me. I'm really excited to be here. And I also want to make sure I introduce Victoria Torrey, who's here with me. We are a two-person office here, primarily based out of Truckee, but also making appearances at our Incline Village offices and our Incline Village and oh, I'm getting a pop-up. And In-Kind Village and Kings Beach Sierra Community House offices. Yes, it is election day in a time where immigration has been a lot in the news. I think that hopefully all of you have already voted, all of you who are eligible. If not, do that once we're done here. But unfortunately, today is a bit of an awkward day for me to give an immigration analysis, because I think the big thing that is going to come out of today and the following 2 days, I think the big question is how much of an issue immigration is going to be in the news over the next several years. My basic prediction is that if we have a second Trump administration, then you're going to be hearing from me a lot more often, and there'll be all sorts of the big thing you're going to see is you're going to have a lot of folks coming in with questions and kind of worries and rumors and all kinds of stuff. Some baseless, some not. And I kind of suspect that if we have a Harris administration, we're probably going to see immigration kind of fade out of the spotlight a bit. And we'll be going back to a sort of situation where Tori and I are sort of, here and there at the margins trying to remind people that we're around. So keep an eye out for that. But I think the main purpose of this presentation today is really just to, in the case of a Harris administration, to remind you that we'll still be around, and also in a Trump administration, that if you have, all of you do such important work and work with so many people in the community and all these different sort of facets of the Northern California, Northern Nevada, Tahoe, Truckee areas, and that means you're going to be working with a lot of immigrants, and if you're working with folks who are not immigrants, there'll be people with immigrant family members. And I think if you take only one thing away from the meeting today, it's to know who we are, what we are, and that we're here, and that when the questions come up, that you all feel like, oh, the solution is I should send them over to David and Tori, or I should call David and Tori and they'll be happy to hear my questions and answer them. And there's this resource right here in the community. So with that, I'm just going to give a really quick overview of, I've introduced us so you know who we are. So now I'm going to tell you what we are. And what our program is we are a Department of Justice recognized organization with Department of Justice accredited representatives. We're part of a program that used to be called the BIA accredited representatives, and then there was some federal government reorganizing and the name changed, but the program stayed the same. And what that is because of some sort of arcane rules around federal laws and federal agencies, and there's a special provision that allows government agencies who basically run all of the immigration laws in the United States to set up their own independent rules about who can practice law in the same way that a lawyer, an attorney would be able to do, specifically before those agencies and in those particular areas of law. And they have decided that nonprofits, charitable nonprofits, are allowed to apply, and if they can present evidence that they're going to handle it responsibly, and that the people they're hiring know what they're doing, they can set up independent little law offices that serve specifically low income, basically offering immigration law services in a charitable capacity, and hire non-attorneys who also have to prove they know as much about immigration law as an attorney does, and allow them to practice law in the same way that an immigration attorney would. And so basically, if you have clients, patients, folks that you're working with who have questions about immigration law, you can send them to us and we will talk with them, figure out exactly what's going on with them. We can answer their very specific legal questions. We can give them full scope legal advice that is tailored specifically to them. And we can do it for free, which actually sets us apart even from a lot of other accredited representatives and recognized programs that usually have to charge low, sort of highly discounted fees, which is still an amazing deal because it's very difficult to get. There just isn't enough services, but we are actually entirely free, and it's a real privilege to get to offer these kind of services at no cost to the community. And there's so many different things that we could get into with that, and I mostly, I think, want to open it up to questions. But I think one thing that I've done in the past that might be a fun way to sort of talk a little bit about what we do is I have a little quiz that Tori and I cooked up a few months ago of differences between what we do and what an attorney does. And we could run through that. There's 7 questions, and we can see how whether they sort of fit your expectations or don't. And I should also add that this is probably too in the weeds, but we have an obligation to sort of let you know that what we actually are is what we're called as partial accredited representatives, which means that we, and this is a clue for the quiz, so pay attention, but we are partial accredited representatives, which means that we are allowed to represent clients in their cases before the affirmative immigration agencies, which means USCIS, which is U.S. Citizenship and Immigration